There are many reasons to support reunification. For example, reunification would not only reunite Korean families that were separated during the war, but also be a panacea to many of South Korea's long-term economic problems. A unified Korea would possess more land and resources for manufacturing businesses, create more jobs, raise Korea's GDP, and even solve South Korea's low birth rate problem. Likewise, proponents for reunification have increasingly evoked claims of the economic benefits of reunification to make the prospect of reunification appealing to younger generations, who increasingly feel distant from their North Korean brethren. Yet reunification also has its opponents, who have reasonably pointed out many disadvantages that could stem from reunification. They also note that North and South Korea have also grown too apart economically and culturally over the past 70 years since they were separated, and that most North Koreans are poor and malnourished, meaning that reunification would put a disproportionate strain on South Korean social welfare programs. Weighing in these positions, we can see that any discussion or preparations for reunification should take into account the historical legitimacy of the past and practical needs of the present. We also observe that a narrow focus on weighing the economic costs and benefits of reunification renders the debate to be a fight over numbers. Transcending pre-existing debates on reunification, HRNK believes that a case for reunification should also appeal to universal values, especially those related to community building and quality of life, such as morality, historical responsibility, community consciousness, ecological consciousness, most importantly, human rights. The North Korean socio-political system structurally infringes on the basic human rights of its people in all aspects of life. North Koreans are not only deprived of the freedom of expression in the media, but they are also restricted from traveling and relocating. North Koreans have long suffered from famines caused and prolonged by misguided state policies, and their right to live continues to be seriously threatened under the Kim Jong-un regime, which has purged elites in power and sent off low-class citizens to work to death in labor camps. In light of these circumstances, discussions on reunification must incorporate information on North Korea's historic human rights violations and discussions on how to improve the North Korean human rights situation. This can become the basis of attaining clearer recognition of the necessity of reunification of the two Koreas, heightening interest on the issue of unification, and strengthening pre-existing cases for unification mentioned in the beginning. Of course, many questions will inevitably be raised pertaining to the relationship between the North Korean human rights issue and unification. For example, if the North Korean human rights issue improves, does it naturally lead to unification? Or does reunification naturally improve the North Korean human rights issue? In addition, there is still no consensus on the question of how North Korean human rights and unification can both be approached. For example, in the case of the concept of North Korean human rights, what perspective will the North Korean human rights issue be approached? How will you approach the reality of North Korea domestically and internationally? Also, how do you define the degree of improvement of the North Korean human rights issue? In the case of the concept of unification, what is unification for us? What kind of unification do we want? When should unification be done? And what is North Korea to us? That said, North Korean human rights and unification are inseparable. This is because the resolution of the North Korean human rights issue is a crucial step in building trust with the North Korean regime, which so far has a notorious record of investing in developing missiles, conducting nuclear tests, and keeping hundreds and thousands of its citizens behind bars in political prison camp. In the end, a sustainable future vision of a unified homeland is one where national freedom, human rights, and development are bound together in harmony. Thank you for watching.